Hey everyone, my name's Kelvin, and this is my tutorial video for Rainforest Coloring Book Mandala Creator. And today I'll show you how to make a mandala like this one, as well as a wreath design like this one. And then towards the end of the video, I'll show you some other ways to make some unique illustrations with this add-on. So the first thing you'll do is download that folder and then unzip it, and then there'll be a few files inside. In order for us to get started, we'll first open up one of the templates. So if you open up the second folder here, there's a selection of different sided templates. So this demo, I'll use the 4-sided one for the wreath, and then the 6-sided one for the mandala design. So to open that, I'll drag it into Illustrator, and it looks just like this. And we're going to use this with the action script, so we'll load those and go to Window, Actions. And then if you see any actions here, you should do Clear Actions, because any actions left over from last time, it might confuse you. So we'll load the actions by going to the menu again, and then Load Actions. And you'd go, it's remembering where I was last time, but you'd go back to that folder, and then open the second folder, Templates and Actions. And you'd open up the appropriate one, in this case the 6-sided actions. And they should look just like this. If they don't, if they look like this, then button mode needs to be enabled. So go to that little menu and then button mode. And now we can load the brushes. So we'll go to Window, Brushes, and then this little menu in the corner, click that. Open Brush Library, Other Library, and then again back to that original folder we unzipped. It'll be in the first one here, Elements and Brushes, and Rainforest Brushes. And these are optional, but I'll just show you how these work today. So here's the brushes, and then the final thing that we need to open up is the actual vector elements. This add-on, this particular one, comes with almost 400 little vector drawings. So we'll open that. We'll go to File, Open, back to that folder, and the first one here, Elements and Brushes, and then 345 rainforest elements. There we go. It looks just like this. And you know, you'll just pick a few things. I prefer to start with bigger elements first. We'll copy them from this document and paste them into the template. So I think I'll choose a flower, something like this one, and then I'll paste it in. Control C, Control V. You can also do copy and paste like that. So that's a good flower there, and some leaves. I'll bring all of these over. They come in sets of 7 with some different variations. We'll try to keep stuff off the artboard, and we'll only put it on here when we're ready to make it into a mandala. So let's choose maybe a butterfly too, something simple like this guy. Okay. And now we'll start with a brush. It's optional. Again, you can just put elements on this template and just go. But I've also included these, so I'll just demo these to show how these work here. So I'll select, first I'll draw a line, and I'll select that. While that's selected, I can click one of these brushes and choose something like, oh, that one's fine. Okay. When you're working with brushes, it works off of the stroke up here. So if you gave it a 2-point stroke, it just scales up the brush design. So I included a button here to just expand the brushes. So after you've made your vine and you're happy with it and you want it to just behave like a regular old vector shape, just click this Expand Brushes script, and now it's an outline. So if I change the stroke again, like I'll put two pixels in there, and now it's got a bolder line on the outside. But we'll do this all with the 1 pixel stroke here. And that's what all these ones will have. And another thing you might notice is if you scale these up and the stroke also scales, that's a little annoying. So in this case, I've got the settings so that doesn't happen. But if you have a problem that looks like this, I'll turn it on here. If this box is checked, scale strokes and effects, what'll happen when you scale things is it'll also make the line bolder as it scales up, because it scales the stroke with proportionally with the whole shape. So we don't really want that. So if you notice that this is happening, that you're getting all different stroke widths when you're moving your elements around and scaling them a little bit, make sure that this box is not checked. So you'd go to File, Preferences, General, and then make sure that this isn't checked. Now, if all of that preference changing and stuff is too complicated, you don't have to do it. You can just use these scripts. No matter what that setting is in the preferences, these scripts will always scale things or shrink things without changing the stroke width. So I can grow it here, grow, and it won't change the stroke. Shrink it as well. And those are just some ways to keep the line thickness consistent throughout your design. Although at the very end, you can still select everything and give it whatever stroke you want. Okay, so we'll put the flower here, I think. And you notice it's behind the vine, and I've included some scripts for that. So we'll move to front, and now it's in front of the vine. And we'll put this guy over here, and we'll move him to the front as well. And I think I'll scale this down. So I'll shrink, just like that. So you're just trying to, fill this triangle here. And it's okay to go off the edge. Anything that goes off the edge will either get reflected back on itself if you use the first script, or just rotate it around if you use the second script. When you run the script, you'll choose whichever one you want to use, and they both have a little different appearance there. So I'll move both of these to the front. Okay. I think I'll put this butterfly in here. And you don't need a lot of elements. This effect works pretty well without a super complicated design. I think you'll be surprised at how intricate your illustration is when you run these scripts. Move that one to the front. Okay. And I've also included some rotating scripts, and these might help you do some, fine tuning and stuff. Okay. I feel like I need a small flower, so I'll grab one over here. One of these little simpler ones will work. So Control C and then Control V, pasted it in, and I'll put it here like that. Okay, so I'll give it a try, and first I'll select everything I've arranged in this triangle, and then I'll use the copy and rotate 6 sides, and you'll see it just makes a copy of this pie slice basically, and then rotates it over here and here and here. Total of 6 rotations there. And here's our result, and you can see what I mean about the complexity. Like, this is just 2 leaves, 2 flowers, and a butterfly and a vine. But when you run that script, it kind of exponentially scales in its complexity here. So one mistake you can make if this is your first time using this is spending too much time like perfectly filling in this triangle. You don't have to. Things can go over the edge. It can be pretty loose, and odds are it'll still look fine. And then it always leaves you with some room for a little modifying. So here I noticed that, this, I don't know, something about this flower looks a little bit odd. I wish it was closer to the butterfly and then maybe something else over here. So I can go back to my little pie slice and arrange this over here, shrink it so it fits a little better, and then look for another small element that'll fit over there. So we'll grab maybe something really simple like this one. Control C, Control V, paste it in, and then put it there and scale it way down. So shrink. Just like that. I'll use you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard too to move things around just a little bit. And then also this butterfly, there's some space there, but I don't know, it's getting covered up by this leaf a little bit, so I might move this leaf a little closer to this flower to give that butterfly some more room. So I'll use the arrow keys to move it. Okay, that's pretty good. So I'll delete this. I don't need this one anymore, and then I'll try the script again. So I'll select everything and then copy and rotate 6 sides. And there we go. Now the end result is grouped, so you can grab it and move it around like this. But within that group, everything is loose, so you can do some customization here. For example, I think I'd always like the butterfly to always appear on top of the banana leaf. Like here, it's underneath. So you can go inside of a group in Illustrator by double-clicking. So I've clicked it once. This whole group is selected, and if I double-click it really quickly, like that, now I'm in group edit mode. I'm working within the group. And now I can select all of the butterflies. So I'll hold Shift. On the Mac, it's a little bit of a different key, but just whatever key you use for group selection. So I'll hold Shift so I can select multiple elements here. It's like that, and then move to front. Now all the butterflies are in the front, and I can click this little gray bar at the top to go out of group edit mode, and now the shape is back inside of a group here. So this illustration, I mean, it could be done. Sometimes I like to add a little flower in the center, so I might choose something pretty simple like maybe this one. So copy and then paste, put that in the middle and shrink it a little bit so it fits. Maybe not. Arrow keys to nudge it here. Okay, that's good. So it's still, you know, this is grouped, but that's not part of the group. So I'll just select everything, making sure it's to select this flower I've added and the whole mandala. And then I'll go to Object, Group, and now it'll behave like one piece here. And this is where you can change the stroke. So ideally, if you're making this for a coloring book, you want everything to be the same stroke width. So you can select this and go up to stroke and just type in a number, like 3 for 3 pixel stroke, enter. And now I've got a bolder line. I think 1 is fine, so I'll enter 1, and then there we go. And then for exporting your drawings, if it's for a coloring book, you probably want to save these as a PNG. And you shouldn't do that from this template, this 6-sided template. You should make a totally new document and paste it in. So I'll select my mandala, and I'll do copy, and then new, and then I'll make it, because it's a mandala, it's a square design, I'll make a square artboard. That's 1,000 pixels by 1,000 pixels. And if this is for a coloring book, it's going to be printed. Make sure that your coloring mode is CMYK. Otherwise, your design will be a little bit fuzzy after it gets printed. So this is important. Make sure it's in CMYK mode. And then okay, here's our new document. I'll paste it in. So I'll grow these. There we go. So my mandala is now fitting on the page. It has the stroke that I want. And then now it's centered. And then now you could save it as a PNG. So you'd go to File, Save for Web. Over here where it says JPEG, make that down to PNG 24. And then if you're making a coloring book that's like 8.5 inches by 8.5 inches square coloring book, you're going to want this to be 2,500 pixels by 2,500 pixels. And it'll take a second to load it. There we go. This would be your design, and then you'd save it to your folder and then insert that into your PDF later on, the PDF that you would use to submit to CreateSpace or any other publisher. So cancel. We'll just leave this open here, and the next thing I'll show you is how to make that wreath design that I showed in the beginning. So we'll open the 4-sided template. Now you could make a wreath with any of these templates. This is the 6-sided one, for example. You could just fill in a small segment and have a wreath design. But the four-sided is particularly good for this because it offers a lot of room to customize it. So I'll show you that. So we'll go to File, Open, and then I'll go back to that folder. Here it is, Templates and Actions, and then the four-sided template. We'll double-click that. And here's the four-sided one, and you can see it has these concentric guides, but anything that's inside this box will be reflected around the mandala. So to make a wreath, we're just going to fill in one of these little channels between these concentric rings, and then when we run the script, it'll be, you know, copied and pasted, 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 just like that, and then we'll have a complete wreath. So I'll go back to my the 345 vector elements here, and I'll select a few things. How about these ones? So I'll do Control C. Also, you can use these copy and paste scripts if you want, and paste in the whole row here, and we'll keep them off the artboard. Anything on this artboard will get like sucked in when we run the script. So if you just have loose vectors, keep them off this artboard, this little black box here. Keep them outside of that. Make sure that only the stuff is in here that you actually want to get turned into a wreath. And we'll choose some flowers too. And I think I will use a vine for this one. So I'll get my brush. Okay. And we'll select that and then apply one of these guys. Maybe that one. We'll see. I might change this later on. Okay, so we'll throw in a flower there and bring that to the front there. And maybe this leaf, bring that to the front as well. I think I'll go for something simpler. This is a nice vine, but it's got too much detail. I think I'll choose something like something really simple. Okay, there we go. Maybe give it a little angle. So I'm copying elements by using a keystroke, but if you don't want to use that, you can just click the duplicate script, and you can create a lot of copies that way. And then also, if you want to flip elements, you can use the flip script here. Okay, I think I'll just run this to see where we're at. So I'll get rid of these extra guys. Select this, and then do copy and rotate 6 sides. Oops, see. So here's a mistake that you could possibly run into here. Let's go back here. If you notice the script's not behaving, you got to make sure you have the right script. So that's what went wrong here. See, I still have the 6-sided scripts from when we made this mandala. So when you're in the 4-sided template, you got to use the 4-sided scripts. So we'll clear the 6-sided scripts by going to the little menu here and clear actions, and then load actions, and we'll go up to the 4-sided actions here. There, those are the correct ones. So select what you want and then run the copy and rotate 4-side script. There we go. I think that's pretty cool. I don't really like the vine. I think I might just not have a vine in this one. But as you can see, even just a few elements, even in just a basic arrangement, it looks pretty good when it's reflected around. And this always surprises me. And I think it's just a good general rule to keep it as simple as possible when you start, because you can always add littler elements later. So I think I'll get rid of this vine. No need for that, I think. And I'll add a few more flowers, I think. And we'll run this design and see where we're at. So I'll select this and delete it, and then we'll try again. Okay, that's pretty good. So it looks like this leaf that's coming off the edge, it's rotating around and covering up this flower. So we don't really need that flower. As you can see, it's just going to cover it up. So we'll move the flower over here, I think. And we'll send that to the back. Move to back. Get rid of our output here. Copy and rotate. Okay, that's looking pretty good. You notice it has a little bit of a square design because this particular empty space is kind of lining up and making that, I guess, illusion. So we can tweak that. It looks like it's right here. There's kind of an empty space. So I think I might add something there. Maybe another leaf. Maybe a really simple leaf kind of poking in there. And then we'll run it again. Okay, maybe I'll scale up this flower a little bit, and this one I think. Yeah, this one. So grow. Okay, get rid of that output, and then run it again. There, I think this is pretty good. You know, you have some opportunity to, you know, like change the arrangement here with in regards to what's in front and what's in back. So it's a group, so I'll select it and double click it, and then I want this leaf to be on top of that one, so I'll bring it to front. Now it's on top of the flower, so I'll bring the flower to front, and I'll just double check to make sure all instances of that have been covered up. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then if you wanted to, you can add some kind of randomness because it doesn't always have to be symmetrical. You could go in here and do some custom stuff. You know, make this flower a little bigger. Maybe move this one over here and scale this up. And just kind of add some randomness so it has a little more of a handmade feeling. Okay, so I'm happy with this, and I'll exit the group and then copy it. Copy, and then paste it in a new document just like before. This is the best way to export these. Grow. There we go. And if you saw the preview images on Creative Market, I added some sort of a book title in here. And this is kind of a good idea, I think, for a cover of a book or for the first page, like a title or an introduction. This is a good way to frame some text. So also in the preview images, I had another image I demonstrated with. It was like a toucan on top of a branch. I'll show you that. I'll open that one up. Toucan illustration. And this is an example of another way you can make illustrations. You don't have to use the templates. You can just arrange them like pretty much freely. And I'll show you how I did this one. Layers. Yeah, so what I did is I placed all these on an image. So this was the original photograph. Just found this online. And then I placed my objects on top of it. You know, once I got the beak and the head done and I was like kind of satisfied with that, what I did was I just turned off the photo and then I just guessed. I just went freestyle, and you'd be surprised. It's not very hard. Once you get just the most important details, like I made a custom little eye, and you know, it comes together surprisingly well. And this is a good way just to make something totally unique. And also you can make full page illustrations that are just arrangements of designs in no particular shape. And you'll notice in the elements here, there's a lot of, you know, different bugs, a lot of different stuff like that. In any of these elements, they're fine on their own. You can do a simple arrangement on a full page of just leaves, or just butterflies, or leaves and bugs, something like that, or just a page of flowers. Just another way to add some variety to your illustrations. So hopefully this is a pretty good overview of how you can use Rainforest Edition to make some unique illustrations. And as always, if you have any questions or comments or something, you can leave a comment in the description or below this video. But the best way to reach me is with my email in that README file. Other than that, guys, thanks for your support and thanks for watching.